special needs child deserves is the appropriate environment where their individual needs are met. That placement was not West Glades Middle School for Nikolas. Instead of putting Nikolas in a school where he could maybe be productive, he remained at West Glades Middle School until the second half of 8th grade, when finally he was transferred to Cross Creek. Cross Creek is a specialized educational center that educates children whose behavior is a manifestation of their mental illness. When Nikolas left West Glades Middle School, he was struggling in every academic area, and he had received 70 disciplinary referrals. And at home, Nikolas was receiving case management. There was an in-home therapist from Henderson and from Camelot Community Care. And they had very strong suspicions that Nikolas needed more services. He needed more help. They needed a proper diagnosis. And they made lots of recommendations. Very few of them Linda listened to. And you will also hear it was during this time the psychiatrist that was prescribing Nikolas medication had recommended that Nikolas be placed in a residential treatment facility. But you see, if that happened, then Linda would lose his Social Security benefits. He never went to that treatment facility. But on February 7th, 2014, Nikolas was enrolled in Cross Creek School. Cross Creek is the most restrictive educational environment in Broward County. This school serves students that have emotional, behavioral disabilities through a therapeutic and a behavioral environment. This is not a behavioral center. This is not a punitive school. There are those schools in Broward County, and this is not one of them. Let me explain to you what Cross Creek is like. They have 13 clinical therapists. They have a school psychiatrist on staff that does medication management and provides services to all students. 2 psychiatric nurses, 2 behavioral specialists that develop behavioral plans, implement therapeutic resources. They have a school resource officer, they have a security specialist, they have 15 crisis management staff members that are trained in verbal de-escalation skills as well as professional crisis management. 27 educational support providers, all of them, everyone at that school is ESE certified. 19 certified teachers. There's a speech and language pathologist. There's a school-wide behavioral system, a school-wide behavioral plan. At that school, there's approximately 80 staff members. It goes from kindergarten to 12th grade. There's 150 students, and they are constantly supervised. And remember, the evidence will show you that what we know about Nikolas's educational environment is that when it's structured and when it's supportive, he does better. And you know how Nikolas did? He did pretty well. Behaviorally, academically, was everything perfect? No. But remember, he's mentally ill and he's brain damaged. But he did well for himself. But his fascination with firearms continued. His mother was told by many people from the school and from the in-home case management, do not buy him a BB gun. Do not buy him an airsoft rifle. Linda Cruz bought him a BB gun. Linda Cruz bought him an airsoft rifle. And you will hear that Cross Creek psychiatrist along with Linda, developed a home safety plan because Nikolas was having dreams about being covered in blood. And you know what you will also hear from that Cross Creek psychiatrist? As they're trying to partially mainstream Nikolas to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, junior ROTC is not recommended for this child. Nikolas was partially mainstreamed to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. 2 classes they enrolled him in. One of them was junior ROTC. And Cross Creek, like they do for most of their students, hold a carrot. We want children to be in the least restrictive environment. You'll hear a lot about it. Get them moving to their home-based school. And most kids really want to do that. So that's what they did. They held a carrot in front of Nikolas. Good behavior, you go to MSD. But the reason why Nikolas's behavior improved, why he was having some success academically, is because he was exactly where he should have been, at Cross Creek. And you will hear a lot about that transition from Cross Creek to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. You will hear that eventually he was full-time mainstream. And people will tell you that that never should have happened. And you will hear evidence from one of his support facilitators, a member of the special education team, ESC, that she received Nikolas's IEP, individual education plan. You're going to hear a whole bunch about this, which lists his eligibility, which lists impairments in domain, and gives a history of the child's behavior in other schools. You'll hear from that support facilitator that she took that IEP and that she went to the assistant principal that was in charge of the ESE program at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, and she said, look at this. This child does not belong here. And she was told to stay in her lane. So Nikolas went from a school with 150 students, all those resources I just explained to you, constant supervision, the most restrictive educational environment in Broward County, to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, with a population of 3,333 students. And at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, Nikolas struggled. Behaviorally, socially, and academically. He started cutting himself. He even drank gasoline. And he talked incessantly about how he wanted to buy a firearm when he turned 18. It was so concerning that a behavioral threat assessment was done because the school social worker and the school therapist were terrified. They were concerned about Nikolas, and they were concerned about the other students. So they went to the school resource officer, Scott Peterson, who knew Nikolas, because you see, everybody knew Nikolas. And they said, he's cutting, he's drank gasoline, he wants to buy a firearm, he needs to be Baker Acted. And what a Baker Act is when you are a danger to yourself, potentially, or someone else. And you need to go to a facility where you can be assessed, maybe medication management, maybe referrals to other programs. And Scott Peterson said, I'm not Baker Acting that kid. Go ahead and call Henderson. So that school social worker and that school therapist called Henderson, and out came that bus, the Youth Emergency Service Mobile Crisis Unit. And they talked to Nikolas, and Nikolas said, I'm fine. I'm fine. So they didn't Baker Act him. But that did not stop the school social worker, did not stop the school therapist. They called Henderson again, and then they called the abuse hotline through the Department of Children and Family which sparked an investigation where Nikolas was classified as a vulnerable adult due to mental illness. And DCF went out there.
I said it before, I'll say it again. This is the toughest form of trial advocacy that you're seeing right here. This attorney advocating someone who murdered all of those people and trying to spare his life because legally that is what is required of her under the law. We're going to go back into the courtroom exactly where we're leaving off after this, but we want your thoughts. Tweet us at Court TV. I've been reading several of your comments and questions. Appreciate them all. Stay right there, folks. At Court TV is our Twitter handle. We'll get you back to Florida in just a moment.
Emily Noble reported missing.
Emily's husband was arrested. Her body was staged to appear as though it was a suicide. That was absolutely not the case.
The staged suicide murder trial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
323.
Staying with us here on Court TV Live, I'm Julie Grant. We're following the latest in the penalty phase of the trial of Parkland school shooter Nikolas Cruz. The Broward County jury has been hearing from Cruz's defense team today. They're presenting their opening statement for their side of this case. They're trying to spare his life. And this jury is expected to hear from several mental health experts, as well as from Cruz's brother Zachary and his sister Danielle Woodward, to talk more about his mental disabilities and emotional traumas that he endured throughout his life. Those of the defense are presenting as mitigating factors to be considered by the jury when they decide whether or not he should spend the rest of his life behind bars or be sentenced to death for his crimes. Let's go back in now where we left off.
DCF, and they said everything's fine. And Henderson and their mobile crisis unit went back out there 3 times. And Nikolas was assessed for a potential Baker Act. And of those 3 times, he was assessed by 2 mental health interns, which means legally, they can't even Baker Act anybody. He wasn't Baker Acted. And 6 days later, on October 1st, 2016, Nikolas Cruz and Linda Cruz walked into Gun World of South Florida, where Nikolas bought his first real gun. All right. As a result of that threat assessment, Nikolas was no longer allowed to carry a backpack. And every morning he had to be searched. And it was around that time that MSD, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, realized this kid does not belong here. He needs to go back to Cross Creek. That's where he might be successful. So they pulled Nikolas to the office, now 18, now able to make his own educational decisions. And they gave Nikolas a choice. You can go back to Cross Creek, or you can stay here at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas and revoke all of your services, all of your special education services. On a document that was generated by we don't know who, typed up, not a formal Department of Education revocation form, Nikolas signed his name, and he revoked all of his special education services. Think about that. This is a child who had been receiving special education services since he was 3 years old. And they were all gone now. So Nikolas remained at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas until February of 2017. When he had a meeting and they told him, you're never going to graduate. You don't have enough credits, you need to leave. So Nikolas left. He literally ran off of school campus. And when he did it, one of those school monitors, as he was watching Nikolas run off the campus, said, that kid, is going to come back and shoot this school up. So now you have a child who has no ESE services, no support. He didn't stop being brain damaged. He didn't stop being emotionally handicapped. He didn't stop having a language impairment. He didn't stop needing services, but they were all gone. And you're going to hear a lot from those teachers that tried to do something. They'll come here and they'll testify, and some of them do not want to be here. They're here because they're under subpoena. But we had to bring them in so that you get all of the information that you need. Because you have to make a decision about whether or not another human being lives or dies. And what they tell you and the things that they say are not excuses, they're not justifications, and they're not defenses. They're part of Nikolas's story, and it's my job to tell you that story. So after Nikolas left MSD, he floundered around, went to some off-campus learning centers where he'd work on a computer, self-paced kind of thing. No structure, no stability, no medication. And then on November 1st, 2017, the one consistent person in his life, the one that loved him unconditionally, the woman that did the very best that she was able to do, Linda Cruz, she died. And Nikolas was there. Nikolas was 19. He had just turned 19 in September, and Zachary Cruz was 17. And by the time of the shooting, law enforcement had gone to the Cruz's house over 40 times. And by the time of the shooting, the YES team had gone to the Cruz family house over 14 times. We will tell you Nikolas's life story so that we can give you reasons to vote for life. And that's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask each and every one of you to do that. And now the state has the responsibility of proving all of the aggravation, the reasons for death. And you must all agree on that. And we will present you with mitigation, reasons for life. And you don't have to agree on that. In fact, the law says that you can disagree. You can give mitigation any weight that you want. And it's individual because different things hold different value to other people. None of us has walked the same walk. Your vote has to be an individualized moral decision, not collective. And you never have to justify, explain, or defend your vote for life. You can deliberate, and everybody here will encourage you to do that. But you don't debate it. And I know that each of you will be respectful to your fellow jurors and respect their vote, even if you don't agree with it. You are never required to vote for death. Even if the state of Florida proves every single aggravator, you can still vote for life. And there's something else I have to remind you of. You are confined to the statutory aggravators that the state proves to you beyond a reasonable doubt. And that does not include those victim impact statements. They were heartbreaking. They were beautiful to hear those people talk about what they had lost in their beautiful children. but you're not allowed to consider it in the verdict. The law requires you to put it aside. And you are here because each of you said that you could do that. It's hard, but you said you could, and we know that you will. We all agree, everyone here agrees that Nikolas deserves to be punished, without a doubt. But life without the possibility of parole is a severe enough penalty, is a severe enough punishment. When you not only look at the crime, but you look at the person that committed it. I'm confident that once you hear Nikolas's story, that you will know in your heart that a vote for life is the right vote, and that justice will be served with that verdict. Your life verdict can come from all of the things that Nikolas did not show those 17 beautiful souls. It can come from compassion. It can come from grace. And it can come from mercy. Thank you.